The Square Ball Podcast.
Time for your weekly dose of propaganda now here with the Square Ball. Dan, Michael and Moscow on a show brought to you by Levi Solicitors.
The main guys. My friends. Our friends. Your friends. Use them for legal stuff if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Wills, probate, conveyancing, litigation, dispute resolution, commercial property. Just to name a few that I know about.
Can you name some more?
Yeah, I'll do it afterwards. Not telling you.
10% discount on your legal fees, levisolicitors.co.uk/the Square Ball to take advantage of that. So yeah, this is propaganda where we have a dive into the fan channels of the world. We hear from Leeds fans as well. Basically find out what's been said in the football world this week about Leeds, about the opponents, by Leeds fans, by the world at large, by crazy scum fans.
Not this week.
Not this week. Are they happy this week?
Well, they won, didn't they? I couldn't bear to listen to them
not
celebrating.
Not in a good way.
I know it was not in a good way, but still.
I mean, Scott McTominay's scoring is never a good way. And I think that's why Ten Hag was so angry about it, because he's got to pick him now. Anyway, we're getting into scum podcast. Do you think Ten Hag should start playing Scott McTominay?
It's Manchester United.
It seems to be the
football club.
Seems to be the last thing you want. It's like, fucking hell, that guy scored. I've got to put him in the team now. I hate him.
Shall we lead off on Bamford the Cheat, because that got a huge response. Like the number of people like tagging us and stuff on Twitter saying you need to do this for propaganda, because it was Nick London, wasn't it? The QPR commentator. Who? Nick London.
What? It's just not going to stick. I was saying
Nick from London.
I was saying the other day, like, he will never be known by his name. He will always just be known as the Bamford the Cheat guy. And no matter how many times you know. Tell me, what is he called?
Nick London.
It's just not.
It does sound like a made-up name of someone who would be commentating on a London team.
Yeah.
You'd go, what's his name? Oh, Nick.
Like Bryn should call himself Bryn Leeds.
Yeah, Bryn Leeds. We'd allow him to double barrel it maybe to Leeds Wrexham because of his split allegiances. But
is he's suggesting this is like his punk rock name?
Yeah,
he's like Sid Vicious, Johnny Rotten, Nick. What's he called?
Nick London.
Nick Shepherd's Bush.
Yeah. Shall we hear from him?
To give it back.
Should we hear it? We got some Leeds.
I mean, he's literally named after a thief. The whole concept of thieving is in his name. What's he called?
Nick London. We can't. QPR does feel like a long time ago. It has to be said, because we've since played Bristol City. But we can't not talk about this, can we? Because it's fun. It's why this show exists.
Let's hear from some Leeds fans first.
We're 30 minutes in and 47 seconds. I'm watching on the visual radio, and I can only get the bloody QPR iFollow thing to work. Fucking hell. These QPR commentators fucking hate Somerville. Apparently he's diving and buying the referee in. Oh, it's magical.
Great win, and made even funnier by the fact I was watching it on the QPR radio, and that was just more and more hilarious the longer the match went on. Won't do that more often. Watch it on the opposition commentary. Only if we're winning though, because I don't want to hear happy opposition.
Most enjoyable moment was when me Lord Bamford sent that rather tall chap for a saucisse Americaine and an early shower. Damn right.
Pretty dull until injury time, where a commentator that all the way through the game I'd been thinking was really, really strangely unbiased and level-headed for an in-house commentator suddenly lost his mind and went from auditioning for a role with Sky Sports to Bamford the cheater! Get him off! He's a fucking cheat! But who's taking the free kick? Fucking cheating Bamford! Get him off! If you can dig up that audio, please let me hear it again.
Are we happy to oblige?
And we have got it. So this is both the red card and then Bamford taking a free kick a moment later, joined together.
Ball, Begovic just helps it past him. Oh, there's no touch. It's a diving cheat. Strike it. Bamford the cheat will take the free kick. Left foot.
I mean, I know we're biased and myopic, but good God.
I actually don't mind this at all. Yeah. I think it's great. I just want a lot more of it.
Yeah.
More petty grievances being brought in.
Absolutely.
I did listen to some QPR fans, which I didn't include because it feels ages ago and they were just quite nice, but they're basically at the point of wanting a new manager. and said they weren't going to score anyway. So no one was actually annoyed about Bamford. I started listening to stuff in the hope that people would be furious about it, but I think they were like, well,
too much despair, basically.
Wouldn't have scored anyway.
Yeah.
So
It sort of didn't matter in the end either, because it stopped them in the tracks in stoppage time. But from a football point of view, with game, they probably weren't going to score. Probably. I know we had both Cooper and Creswell warming up at that point, which I think says something about what the game would sort of turned into. And then the red card got rescinded. Bamford said afterwards, he was like, yeah, I didn't think he said he didn't touch me. And it looked on the footage as if, because he kept following the referee around and he was talking to Begovic, and it seemed like on the pitch he was saying like, look, he didn't touch me, I moved, I fell over, I got up, you don't need to send him off. So there's kind of nothing really matters at the end of it. But it's still funny.
I think the person who's taken this worst is Nick London, generic Nick London.
Well, who's he?
Commentator for QPR's I Follow service.
I didn't know that was his name.
The name just doesn't stick, does it?
Didn't know he had a name.
Should we hear more from him?
I was petty enough to try and find how he dealt with the Naki Wells handball, which is obviously another incident of disgusting cheating. It was like a double, triple handball, that wasn't it?
Which season was this? So was this the Bielsa first season?
Was it March of... Was it 2000? Was it 2000? That was a very long time ago. You know, the other one that ends in a 0.
2020.
20. That's the one. 20. I think it was in that. I think it was in 20.
Right. In 20, yeah.
And I think this is Nick London, but
who?
It could just. Well, do you know what Nick London sounds like?
Never heard of him.
Exactly. So I think this is Nick London, but I wasn't able to confirm. But this is definitely the QPR commentary of that Naki Wells handball, and you'll no doubt hear all the complaints about cheating in this one.
Enough in the wall. Referee Banks blows his whistle. Eze takes.
Yes!
Leeds didn't deal with it. And Naki Wells taps in. It's Queen's Park Rangers 1, Leeds United 0.
Full credit to Naki Wells, Nick. You know, with Barry Eze on the free kick. He lines it up. He hits it, doesn't get a great strike, goes into the wall. The ricochet could go anywhere. What it does, it falls to Naki Wells. Here we're just going to see it. There's the ricochet.
Nick London's silence upon that cheating. Because you know when those clips are being shown, they always sync it up with the commentary, don't they?
Yeah.
And what it was showing there was multiple angles of Naki Wells handballing it 3 times.
Yeah.
And Nick London sat there going... Just gonna
can't really go off message here.
Just gonna leave that one out there. I don't know who the guy was. It was an interesting accent. Was it Kiwi, South African? I've no idea. It was a strange combo. But I did also go back into QPR's.
Maybe it was Roy Wegley.
YouTube.
He was South African, wasn't he? South African American.
Let's say yes then. It was Roy Wegley.
Yeah,
scorer of a very good goal.
You're welcome.
Against Leeds. So let's hear from Nick London speaking to QPR's YouTube channel, where this is him explaining like his process of commentary.
Who's this again?
It's Nick London's the guy who does the commentary for the QPR channel.
Just do me a favour, Moscow. Write that name down, will you? Just so we don't forget it.
What name?
But what Andy and I are trying to do is more than just what's happening. We're trying to explain a little bit about it.
She's a diving cheat.
Bamford the cheat will take the free kick.
Very good.
Petty.
Yeah, well
very
done.
petty to mash it up in that way.
He did. I mean, if you were listening on the radio, got quite a vivid impression of what was going on.
Yeah.
Creating pictures with words. The incident has really stuck in all our minds. Him, his name, who he was, who he will be, where he came from. It's kind of drift. He's like just a ship in the night, isn't he?
Like a passing cloud.
Lights dimly blinking on the horizon. Bamford's cheat. Bamford's cheat.
I mean, that's not going to get picked up by the mics when we release this show, but...
Well, so if anybody to create pictures with words, I was moving away from the microphone saying Bamford's a cheat, gradually more and more quietly, like a ship receding into the distance at night. Mm-hmm. A ship that had replaced its foghorn.
Like an echo on the breeze.
With that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Which if anybody out there runs a ferry company and wants to make that happen, I'd love somebody to bring like a car transporter up the whole estuary, honking out that. But Bamford's a cheat. And we need to give credit to our fine listener and member for their pronunciation of Shaw. That was excellent work in the clips we heard before.
Right, Gareth Ainsworth's band, Michael.
No,
Moscow.
This is a page on the sheet this morning. I'm unaware of this.
Did you know he was in a band?
Yeah, I've seen him playing in a band.
Okay,
I saw the photos in the wake of us playing them. Yes,
this is the curious thing, because I didn't know until midway through the second half. I got a message from friend of the podcast, Emily Pilbeam, who is insisting that she gets credit for having discovered all this. And I don't know how anybody missed it, because when I got the message says, "Did you know QPR's manager is in a band?" And I was looking at him at the time. I was like, well, of course he is.
Yeah.
But how did I not know that? So
the man's a walking midlife crisis.
He's been in a band for a long time. He used to be in a band with Wimbledon teammates Chris Perry and Trond Andersen. And there's something very 1990s. I've been kind of obsessed with this line from his Wikipedia page that says, he later joined the band Dog Chewed the Handle, named after a Terrorvision song after answering an advert in Loot. Mm-hmm. Something about that is like, if you were around in 1995, those words will probably all send like a shiver of recognition down your spine. Anyway, he's now in a band called The Cold-Blooded Hearts, and their album is just out if anyone wants to buy that. This is from their YouTube channel, and this is the two things that I've not been able to get out of my mind. And so by sharing them here, maybe it will unburden my awful preoccupied brain. So this is from their YouTube channel. They call them the rehearsal tapes, but they're all professionally filmed. This is an intro to a recognisable song as performed by Gareth Ainsworth on vocals. We only get a little bit of that, and a drummer who appears to be getting thrown down the stairs.
And for all you blokes out there who are too cool to sing along in the last song, this one's for your girlfriend. Ladies!
Recognise the song yet?
Got it.
Yep. Coming in.
Thank you.
That bit has just been playing over and over in my brain.
Yeah.
For when did we play QPR? It feels like it was a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Gareth Ainsworth's in a band.
Yes. Yeah. The other thing he did of note, which we have touched on before, because Tyler Roberts was in the crowd for this.
Yes.
He got someone in to do the haka in front of the QPR team.
Oh, was that him?
And it shows it's really just worth watching for the introduction of it. And this guy comes in and starts speaking in a foreign language and appears around the corner dressed in full Maori dress. And then it pans to the players' faces, and they're just absolutely dead.
Because they just didn't know what was coming, did they?
No, you can see them all just thinking, oh, for fuck's sake.
This is it.
But this is happening now. Yeah. Oh, good.
There's a great part of that. So to introduce this guy, I don't think it really says what's coming, but Gareth Ainsworth is like in full supply teacher mode at the start, because he's saying he has taken time out of his day to come here and do this for you, so you need to pay attention to him out of respect for. And I think all these like grown men think like, yeah, this will be fine. So that's Gareth. I should mention, if on a musical tip, if anyone wants to hear some better music, I won't be playing it, but I'm DJing when Tree Boy and Ark play at the Broodnell on Friday the 27th.
And
they're a good band.
We're all going to come down and we're going to stand there motionless watching you.
Well, they're good. I'm in between them and other good bands that are
What are you going to play?
I'm going to be playing some good
Spice Girls,
some good records, but I'll be playing them
What's
quite
your favourite Britney Spears record, Moscow?
Toxic.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Because it's the one I like the best.
Mm-hmm.
The strings in it are good, aren't they? Dramatic.
So that's, the night before the Huddersfield game, if you want to hear a good band instead of Gareth Ainsworth's band, although he could be persuaded to maybe do a... There is some special guests who've not been announced, so maybe it is Gareth Ainsworth's
If
group.
you want, and if you like country music, listen to the Members Show this week.
Right.
Got a treat on there.
Is that a tease for us, is
It's a bit of another Bamford I've discovered, a country music Bamford out in the wild.
Is that like the country music Billy Bremner, who used to be... It caused me great confusion when I went into charity shops and looking through the LPs, and there'd be this LP by Billy Bremner. Quite frequently you'd find an album. And I was young enough to be a bit kind of, could he? And because we're talking pre-internet as well, so my familiarity with Billy Bremner and how he looked was all based on old football annuals and pictures of him from the 60s and 70s. So you see this album from the 1980s by somebody called Billy Bremer,
He's been managing Doncaster at this point. It seems unlikely, but well, mind you.
Did I ever tell you about my childhood Elton John confusion?
No.
So you know Elton John, you'll know, has got a song called Daniel.
Yes.
Right? And then Elton John also has a song called Your Song. So in discussions around Elton John, I think being played in the car, I think parents must have mentioned like Daniel and Your Song. And I think in my mind, I confused the two and I thought Daniel was my song.
Yeah.
I see.
And then I grew up and realised it wasn't, and I was disappointed. I don't think I've got over it since.
Anyway, if we're just idly chatting, I once flew to America, and one of the radio channels that you could tune into from your seat, things weren't very sophisticated at the time, was playing the greatest hits of Fleetwood Mac and then the greatest hits of Elton John. And I timed it, I trimmed it down and basically worked out where The Chain was. And I think Little Lies, and then Daniel and Crocodile Rock. Mm-hmm. And I would just kind of
tune in every 2 hours, whatever.
Yeah, keep an eye on my watch and be like, oh, all right, it's time for The Chain. And just listen to that and then go back to the other thing I was doing. Because I couldn't watch the...
Is The Chain, that's the theme tune to Top Gear, isn't it?
No, Formula One it was.
Formula One, sorry, yeah.
I couldn't watch
that's like halfway through it, though. It's like
Cars,
two separate songs.
Fast Cars.
I couldn't watch the film because I was on the front row of the cabin and the screen was basically perpendicular to my right. So I was kind of restricted for entertainment. We didn't have back-of-seat stuff then.
120-inch CRT TV for about 40 rows.
We were... this isn't true. We could smoke. So that was one advantage.
You had to. That was the thing.
It was mandatory.
It was to prove you're old enough to go on a plane. You had to smoke a couple.
12 years old, sitting there with a briar pipe, just to make sure I was allowed over the sea.
Should we move on to Bristol then? This is what Leeds fans made of our win against the Robins.
Scott White, the Kentucky Yorkshireman. Yabba-dabba-doo! How about that? 2 on the bounce, I'll take it. Got my shotgun, my Kentucky bourbon on the front porch without my shoes. Gonna take 2 weeks to decompress and get ready for the next big match. We're gonna take Norwich and dump them in the North Sea.
Well, happy days, happy international break. Screw Sinisterra, screw Adams, screw Koch, screw Verba. It's all about Ruter, Piroe, and Sam fucking Byram. Just thank fuck he was on the line, because I think we deserved the win. I thought we were the much better side. Fuck me, the weekend's better with a Leeds winning it. Happy days.
So I wonder if the reason there's not as much enthusiasm around Joel Piroe as there should be, and this idea that, I don't know, he's out of games for most of them, I think he's just the opposite of what we've grown used to as a striker. You know, it's been Bamford for the last few years, and even when it wasn't Bamford, it was about pressing, and it was about holding the ball up, and it was about setting about and hassling opponents, and that's just not what Piroe does. He's a finisher. You know, he'll drift in and out of games, but he tends to be in the right place and can apply the finish. On his finishing as well, both-footed. That's not been talked about enough. The one at Millwall's with his right foot, today from the outside of the box was with his left. Great player and a fucking good finisher.
Who is this Jorginho Ruter? Like, compared to last season, it's like he went into a cocoon and metamorphosized from a caterpillar into a butterfly.
What luck I have seeing Leeds twice live in a week and seeing 2 wins in a row. Trying to cast off some of my lived-in cynicism from years of experience and be a little bit more like Zen Dan. I got to go to a sunny day in Beeston, and I got to see my only sports team, my team, win in front of 40,000 other like-minded people. And I have to say, as a fan from North America who doesn't get to see Leeds very often, it's the rarest thing in the world. And I have to say that today goes down as one of the happiest memories I have in my life. You know, it's an amazing experience. So cheers, guys.
Well, that sent a bit of a chill up my spine, did that, thinking about that. The idea that you've only got one team and they're thousands of miles away and you get to see them very, very rarely, and when you do, it's super.
So I feel like living locally, we all went to these 2 games and went, yeah, good, 2 wins, nice one.
20 minutes home.
Yeah, people were bored against QPR, weren't they?
It was a rubbish game.
Bit miffed that we didn't do more.
Shit atmosphere, should have scored more goals, useless.
It's good to hear the direct quote as well from Daniel Farke's press conference being repeated there, where he's a fucking great finisher. I think is basically what Farke was saying for 13 minutes.
Yeah. On to the Dutchman. Should we talk about him?
Yeah.
It was a good point that because if you think through the strikers we've all seen, if they're not always involved, Leeds fans always have a tendency to start like Jermaine Beckford. What did he do off the ball? Not lazy, scoring 30 goals. Viduka used to have that as well because he didn't look like he ran around much, but he was always scoring 20 goals in the Premier League. And there's always that. Whereas Alan Smith would score 7 a season, but because he'd be charging around getting yellow cards and everything, getting Smithy, go on, smudge your son. So there's always been that kind of like what Leeds fans kind of want. And even, I suppose, Alan Clark never used to be slide tackling people or charging around or leading the press. I suppose he didn't really do that in those days. But Sniffer, just turn up in the box and finish. I suppose because we're going to come on to the pronunciation, Joel is playing ostensibly at 10. There's like that expectation. Well, why isn't he constantly on the ball creating stuff? But it's just a way of getting him into positions where he can finish. So it's kind of like playing as a 10, but not giving him the ball and not saying you have to start creating and linking the play and being an all-action conduit for the entire team. It's just like doing what Jermaine Beckford used to do of floating around and making sure he puts the ball in the net whenever there's a chance, but from 15 yards further back. Mm-hmm. So,
and he's allowed to run forward as well. I've noticed that.
Yeah, we are letting him.
He does run forward,
but he doesn't need to. He only needs to go to the edge of the box and just like bop through your legs into the goal. Your legs specifically, if they were available.
Yeah, I would make them available for him to put the ball through.
You'd open your legs for Joel Piroe.
You didn't need to say that. That's where I was guiding us, but you were
fair enough. Should we? How are you saying it then so far? Because I've been going Piroe.
Mm-hmm.
I tried Peru for a while.
Peru, like the country you went for.
Yeah, but then I was listening to. It felt like Bryn Law might have inquired, and I noticed a modification. So I've been trying to kind of follow Bryn's.
It's been closer
lead.
to Peru, hasn't it? Like,
and now I'm saying it as if I was Tom Jones.
And in stadium, they're going with Peru, like the announcements.
So this is what Bristol's commentator went with. I've just looped it around so we can hear it a few times.
Piroe, 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 Piroe.
Yeah,
I like Piroe.
Piroe.
He's a firework.
So I was confused.
What's your favourite Katy Perry song?
Firework.
Thank you.
Mine too. Oh no, Teenage Dream.
Yeah,
that's good too.
No, that's never top of mind.
Yeah, it's decent pops on that. Anyway,
the one she did with Snoop Doggy Dogg, was it California Girls? Yeah, that was catchy. I like that.
I didn't even know that was there actually.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I did try to track down then Joel Piroe saying his own name, which was surprisingly difficult actually. I found several interviews, but I feel like at the start of every interview you should state your name, but he doesn't.
Right.
Which is selfish of him. I have since found an adult version of him saying it as well, but this is a 15-year-old Joel Piroe interviewed on YouTube. I think it's PSV's channel or something, chatting to him. And this is him. I think I was using the Google translated captions. I think it's him saying, my name is Joel Piroe and I'm 15 years old.
Ik ben Joel Piroe. Ik ben 15 jaar oud.
Piroe?
Piroe? Piroe?
It's not quite Piroe, but it's Piroe.
No one's been doing it right. From what I can gather.
Can I just play that again?
I've got the Piroe isolated at the bottom.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Well, thank you for your diligence.
No worries.
Joel Piroe. Joel Piroe. Joel Piroe.
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 Yeah, it's sort of like where Bryn Law has been taking it. It's like Piroe. It's kind of been what I've been.
It's quite
hearing.
the end of it's quite short, isn't it? It's not Piroe.
You don't dwell on the R either, do you? It's like Piroe. You skip over it.
You can make some allowances for regional differences. But I think we can get away with a Piroe. Clipping the vowels is all the consonants, whatever Carol Vorderman's got, as sharply as the average 15-year-old Dutch boy is probably beyond some Yorkshire tongues.
I can confirm that he'd probably got served at 15.
Right. He's incredibly Dutch looking, isn't he? He's the most Dutch looking Dutchman I think I've seen.
It's nice hearing him speak a bit of Dutch.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Let's hear it again.
Which one do you want to hear?
The full version.
Right. Okay.
The extended mix.
Yeah, the LP.
Ik ben Joel Piroe. Ik ben 15 jaar oud.
Yeah. I mean, you could figure that out without the
15
subtitles.
years old.
Yeah, exactly.
That's essentially what Dutch is, isn't it?
I don't think that's it.
English with an accent.
That's not even Dutch now, think about it.
Hang on, one more time.
Ik ben Joel Piroe. Ik ben 15 jaar oud.
Yeah. It could be saying I'm 50 years old. But other than
More, I suppose it's a bit like it's near to Hull, isn't it? Holland. It's probably just a mixture of the two.
I like a can of Kirk.
No. Right, let's hear what the Bristol City fans made of it all then. The Forever Bristol City podcast had this to say.
I thought there was an inevitability, like you said, about losing to Leeds United. City played with more confidence than they did against Leicester City. They tried to take the game to Leeds, but ultimately were overwhelmed by Leeds' quality, energy, and the amount of chances that they created. City stayed in the game as long as they could, but ultimately the score flattered City, and Leeds could have won the game well before their second goal. And City's subs bench, City's replacements were poor, didn't add anything. Only 2 or 3 players stood out. And these games just show us how far short we are of the quality to be able to make an impact in this division. So ultimately, our frustration as usual.
I mean, it does help, doesn't it, if we're being entirely fair, that we went up and spunked hundreds of millions of pounds on footballers. That's
been a big influence.
That's influenced things, yeah.
Because Jorginho Ruto is really amazing, apart from his finishing on that one chance. But generally speaking, he's just so much better than everyone else.
It's sort of how it's quite difficult to get too excited about Leicester as well. Everyone's like, oh, this disciple of Pep is doing extraordinary things. It's like, it's a Premier League team full of ringers. They are, because Bristol were all right, weren't they? And there's sort of, they feel playoff a ball, but looking at the squad, they're sort of not built for promote. You can't get promoted with Andres Weimann in the team in 2023. It's that, and you get some clubs, and Bristol probably a few years ago when they had all them good defenders, Aidan Flint and people, maybe felt closer to the Premier League than they do now. The stadium is probably good enough, so there's kind of, they wouldn't be, I mean, Luton have changed everything, but they wouldn't be out of place up there. But it just doesn't feel like a team. Nigel Pearson, I suppose, is a Premier League standard manager, can get them up there, but even if you have got old Andy King, it's just, there doesn't feel like a squad of players that's like, yeah, that's going to get us promoted.
Have Bristol City ever been in the top division, or like in our lifetimes?
Yeah, when they had Norman Hunter at the back.
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of people there kind of grown up having...
in our lifetimes?
Yeah,
no.
Having never seen them.
But no. I mean, now I don't know. I thought you meant ever, and I was like, yeah.
No, I knew they had ever, but I rephrased the question as I was asking it because I realised I knew that they had been.
We've got a ludicrously good record against Bristol since.
Yeah, I was going to say that we are their Oldham for us in the 90s.
Yeah, we played them in 1997, which is obviously a different era. But then since relegation and all that, we played them 17 times and they've won once.
Right.
And we don't have that good a record against anyone because we've mainly been shit through those years.
It doesn't feel like we've ever had a hex over anybody, does it?
No, but we have over Bristol. It's just no one's cared, essentially.
They were last in the top flight in 1979,
so actually 80. Just in my lifetime then.
And then the next season they were in Division 2, then the next season they were in Division 3, and then the next season they were in Division 4, and then...
that's a hell of a ride, isn't it?
Yeah, they stayed down for a season but then came up. And then 3-3-3-3-3. So,
but they've not been in the top division since football started in 1992.
No, not at all. But they have got like quite a nice stadium. Just not quite the team, I don't think. Matty James. It's like,
I'm looking at the team the last time they did beat us. Some interesting characters. Bobby Dover-Reid's in it. You've got Tammy Abraham, Lee Tomlin, Aidan Flint,
Nick London,
Mark Little, who is of course Joe Mangle.
Yes,
he was in the team. So yeah, it's a good mixture of people. But that was a 1-0 win at Bristol. Can't remember.
Was it? Lee Johnson?
20. Keith Stroud was reffing. It was September 2016. Is that the start of the Monk season, isn't it?
Why is Keith Stroud always reffing us against them?
Makes you wonder.
Let's move on to Robins on Tour, which is a vlog.
Yeah, he didn't really speak on this, which was a bit of a shame for a vlog.
What are we going to listen to?
Just sort of in Ellen Road.
Birdsong.
You're just going to listen to...
the sound of Robins tweeting.
You're just going to listen to what 1-0 sounded like from the away end, because it's nice.
nice, but also heavily compressed.
It is very, yeah. I noticed in the audio form it was looking like that. And it was also, it's worth watching for the shot of the South Stand. Obviously, I'll go mental as well, which made me wonder what our Chelsea friend would think if he'd seen the South Stand.
My God, look at the state of that.
We've never... This was done on the Members Show. We need to explain now that we found a Chelsea clip that we played out on the Members Show, which has got a bit of traction there, but we need to introduce it to this show. And it was when Chelsea lost to Forest, and this was a rather plummy young Chelsea fan, appalled at the state of the Forest fans.
Watching the Forest fans celebrate on TV, and he'd never seen anything like it. And so he said...
My God, look at the state of that.
Look at the state of them. We'll keep that one in reserve.
I thought it was worth bringing him in.
Yes.
Just bringing him in. Should we hear from another reasonable Bristol fan?
Jack Buchanan?
Yeah.
Neil's lad?
Yes, the very same.
I thought we were okay in spells today. We weren't good in other spells. Leeds fans are very, very good. My first time at Ellen Road, very, very good atmosphere from them, to be fair. And I think they'll do very well this season, as everyone's probably expecting them to now. They had sort of a bit of a rocky start, but they've really kicked on the last few weeks.
That's us. Good.
But I think people are a bit accepting of that we're good, and they're therefore not that bothered when they lose, which is a bit of a shame.
Is this what being like Man City must feel?
I think it's what coming down with Premier League money does. That people look at your squad and go, well,
what can we do about that? Well, which is exactly how I feel about Man City in the Premier League. Like, what can we do about that? They've got Pep Guardiola. They spent all that money on,
and they're losing every game.
Yeah,
pathetic.
And Calvin still can't get a game. Bless him.
In a losing team,
they played a child defender in midfield instead of Calvin.
Maybe bringing him in is what they need. He'll turn their season around and finish as top scorer as they win all the trophies.
It could happen.
I wonder what he makes of it, genuinely.
Calvin?
Yeah. Like, knowing that you were going to go there and be benched, but he surely would have expected to have played more than he has done. Is he just happy to be there hanging around with like Haaland and trousering his 200 grand a week?
I think we've done this to death, haven't we? That he's tried to get into the best team in the world, past one of the best players in the world, and he can't do it. So fair enough for trying. You get well paid while you're doing it. Have a nice time with Jack and Erling, and then go and play for somebody else, taking whatever you've learned from Pep or whatever horrible experiences will haunt you forever that sent you on the phone to Marcelo Bielsa in tears. So it's like, he could have gone straight from Leeds to a much easier Premier League team. Jack Harrison's not going to have any problems getting into the Everton side, is he? Tyler Adams will be a first pick for Bournemouth all the time. Easiest thing in the world to do, but go to Man City and say, right, yeah, I'm going to try and get in the team ahead of Rodrigo.
Speaking
this
of
team that wins fucking everything all the fucking time and is like, and does not need me, like, cannot be improved by, like, a minimal number of players will sign for Manchester City and improve them. I'm going to go and see if I can be one of them. Fair enough.
Let's talk about Everton then. Bournemouth, 3-0.
Because Everton were rubbish. And then it turned out Bournemouth were worse.
Yeah. Which, there's a lot of schadenfreude about this, I think, given, as I was saying on recent shows, Iraola, Max Aarons, Tyler Adams, Luis Sinisterra, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, there's quite a lot of gloating around the appointment and signings of those players. So it's only natural, I think, that Leeds fans are going to revel in their demise. So where are we going with this? Back of the net?
Back of the net, who are the people who we listened to when we beat them at Ellen Road.
The 4-3.
The fireworks.
Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff was going on in the background. But yeah, this is just a little chop together of their away trip to Everton. And it's starting to look like Iraola might be a classic autumn managerial pick.
Which he is, because he's potentially going to Sevilla, isn't he? Now they've binned off their Europa Cup winning manager, whatever it's called, and sniffing round Iraola now. So it wouldn't be entirely surprising to see him go, would it? And solve a problem for everyone.
What I don't understand is when they break, you think, oh, we're open as any. And then when we go forward, you go, oh, Dom's on his own. So where is everyone? It is awful, absolutely awful, and no disrespect to Everton because they've got the job done. They're their team by a mile. I don't want to go back out.
It's really concerning, and I said this to you before we recorded. I honestly think Iraola has 2.5 games to take his job. I think it's turning that badly at the moment.
Big second half awaits.
Massive.
There's going to be conversations after this. There's going to be some serious conversations because if this is rock and roll, we're more Coldplay or Keane, because this is absolutely dreadful. Absolute bedlam scenes at Goodison. The keeper was tested. He's laughing at the thought that, Stuart. He knows that it can happen. Oh my God.
Yeah, I hate football.
I hate football.
Oh, hang on. I've got a positive.
That's the coupon code to put in, right?
International break. Come on!
Yeah, you know what?
Bournemouth to Real weekend next weekend. Oh, they can't.
Oh, you know what? It's been a tough old day today, but we do keep the faith. But we're not going to airbrush this one, because it was a terrible performance. And yeah, Bournemouth, we go again. How many times can we go again and produce that again before triggers are pulled and decisions are made?
Why did we morph into some sort of ambient trip-hop album there?
They were at the end. They were doing a bit of a walk.
A bit of a roundup.
Through the park and stuff. Stanley Park.
It sounded like it was being filmed from a drone. Like a big tracking shot as they're walking along the beach, going like, you know...
Cuts
like,
out to a river or the sea or whatever.
At the end of some dating programme where it's like, well, we've had a great time, but I just don't know about the future. Yeah, Areola and the whole Orta thing. And
his name's Iraola, you know, that you're naming him after the outer part of a nipple there.
So Andoni and the stuff is... It feels quite Jesse Marshy. I've not really watched them play. I thought I'd have a look at some point, but I couldn't really. Like, if you're going to watch a team in red and black stripes, you may as well watch AC Milan. But yeah, I think they're learning what maybe we learned is that to do that kind of, when they were talking about being all the way like so open defensively, you've got to be really good at this to make it work. This kind of pressing football.
Maybe Jayden Anthony was keeping the whole thing together.
Maybe he was the crucial bit.
But it's nice to hear the nihilism and the sarcasm all starting to come to the fore. When
cheering a shot on that.
Just when they have a shot, yeah.
Those are bad days, aren't they? You know,
yeah.
Every team's been there where you have that. And
this is genuinely...
It's generally the end of days, isn't it, when that sort of thing's going on.
I am genuinely trying to be more appreciative of Leeds United this year and enjoy a lot more what we're experiencing, because it's a lot more positive than last season. And when I hear this, it reminds me that I'm having a nicer time than they are.
They sounded on the verge of going back to their town and just like smashing places up, rioting in the streets, putting some windows through, just like a weekend of just bacchanalian horror.
It could be fun.
Yeah, they should try it. It's the one thing they've probably not tried. But you'd think they'd have seen what a great time some other people have had doing it, specifically the old folks who occasionally emerge from the retirement homes down there at night and just rock through the streets, causing all kinds of trouble. Definitely happens.
Should we go back to the Championship?
The Mad Mistake.
Back to the Championship. The Mad Mistake, yes, which is a Sunderland vlog. And you will be aware that there was a sort of derby, kind of. I mean, like Newcastle-Sunderland is the North East derby.
It's the best they can do.
But the closest you can do, is going to be with Middlesbrough, which is down the road. For anybody not familiar with the geography of the North East, Middlesbrough's kind of in a little weird halfway house, isn't it?
Sort of kind of was Yorkshire.
But not really, and
yeah,
little twangs of the North East in the accent and stuff.
But anyway, they're trying to make the best of a rivalry. I felt a bit bad, actually, digging this up, because the people who put it online originally, he seems to have made the video private, I think, because Middlesbrough fans were laughing at him so much. But, you know.
That's what football's about.
The internet doesn't forget, and Middlesbrough fans have clipped this stuff up, and it's still out there. So, and Sam Greenwood getting a mention here as well. So this is at half-time. They've just had a man sent off, I think, for talking to the ref was what he was sent off for, so they don't really know what's going on. And he's furious about it, and he's nice and squeaky and upset.
And everyone's angry. Sam Greenwood is playing for Borough. Has he scored by this point?
He might have scored. He did score, didn't he? Certainly. But he's
against his boyhood club.
Yeah.
0-0 half-time. Dan Neil being sent off. Referee, complete twat. You can't understand what's happening, Terry. He's got to send someone to the ref. Because there was no free kick given him. Absolute joke. Absolute joke. Absolute joke. Tell you what, I'm not happy with Sam Greenwood either. Waving the Borough fans on. He's a Sunderland fan. Best game in 2 games to Bury and he's waving the Bury fans on. He's supposed to be a Sunderland fan. What an absolute joke, disgrace. Not happy at all with this, like. Fucking shocking. Pardon me, French.
Absolute joke.
Absolute joke.
Absolute joke.
Absolute joke.
The little squeaks. The little squeaks were good, weren't
Be a Sunderland fan.
They were quite musical with the absolute joke bit. When there was a little, there was a melody.
Yeah, they were sharing the same mic, leaning in. Absolute joke.
Absolute joke.
Watch us wreck the mic.
Sam Greenwood, to be fair, when he did score, we said this on the match ball, didn't we? The biggest song and dance about not celebrating, while all his teammates were kind of trying to drag him over to the fans. He's like putting his arms out, like, "Don't touch me, don't do this. I don't want to have people calling me an absolute joke."
Well, apparently as well, from Twitter comments, they've complained about him waving there. He was waving to his dad, who was in the crowd. Apparently, someone was saying, but
his dad presumably is a Sunderland.
Joke.
Presumably, his dad's a Sunderland fan.
You mean Sunderland?
Yeah.
How big a wave must it have been? Because to be that angry about it, because if I was a footballer, I've seen players waving at their family members. It's generally just a little like, all right, hello, little. Like, but what was he doing for them to be an absolute joke?
These fellas were in a heightened state by this point.
Anything he did.
The way he's fucking walking, man. It's so disrespectful. Anyway, show him at the end of the game. This is him outside the ground.
Embarrassing, to be fair, isn't it? Horrible, worst result possible. Feel sick. Sick as fuck.
Getting pumped for another arm.
So that's good.
Right.
Should we go elsewhere for Championship misery? Finish on a bit of Brummie misery?
Yeah,
I mean, the misery is partly ours because we have to listen to the accent. But
yeah, this might be their last misery for a while, because as soon as the new manager is appointed, it's straight to the Premier League, isn't it?
What are they doing?
It's been great, hasn't it?
What was funny was all the dick waving and all that procession that happened around our fixture, like when what's-his-face came in.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, from the gridiron, came in and his mate, and they did all the interviews pitch side, had a lovely time, and they beat us. And they're doing all right in the Champo.
They're doing really well. You wouldn't sack your manager, would you?
No, of course
when
you
you're
wouldn't.
6.
They should just I think they should stick Tom Brady in charge. So it's obviously what they want. They want Tom Brady as manager, but they can't quite do that, so they've got to get who's the next best kind of friendly sports celebrity.
It seems like the sort of classic move new American owners might do if they don't really understand anything, and they're gonna absolutely love this. Legend of the game. He was England's top scorer for like half an hour. They're going to think this is brilliant. You wait to see. I can't wait to... They'll be all swarming the stadium. They'll be wanting to shake hands with us. And then it's actually happened. Everyone's gone, oh, I mean, that guy, right.
Do you think Parag Marathi at any point had to, like, Angus Kinnear grabbed his phone and was like, I'm just blocking Gary Neville's number. You can't do this. He's like, oh, should I phone Rio Ferdinand? He's
John Terry.
No. Yeah. John, no.
Oh, he's a Leeds fans love a warrior.
Lampard's out of work. Give me your phone.
This is chatting blues anyway. So this first clip is him just trying to get his head around it. So we'll hear a little bit of this first.
It's going to be Rooney, isn't it? And I think it's completely the wrong time to do it. To sack the manager. We're 6th in the league, right? It's the wrong person. Like, what his managerial record is awful. We're going to try and end this video on a positive note.
It'd be hard to tell even if they did.
Well, do you want to hear some of his positives? It was about 10 minutes. These are some of the positives he clumped together in the closing.
You know, my instant reaction to it is it's just a terrible decision. It's an absolute awful. It's a shocker, right? And even the person they're bringing in is a shocker. It wouldn't be so bad if they was bringing in someone like Graham Potter or something. We've got 2 weeks now to kind of like grieve, really. Like, just fucking, just try and forget about it. You know what I mean? We can't be turning on the owners. This is the thing. We cannot be turning on the owners. It's a shocking decision. They came in, when they came in, they said they know nothing about football. And this has just proved it. His win rate for a manager is 21%. He's not even very liked in the football world, let's be honest, on and off the field. It's just a shocking appointment. but we've got to get behind him. We have to get behind this guy. We have to kind of like just try not to be too hard on the owners. We've just got to trust the process. Do you know what I mean? We've just got to trust that everything's going to be all right. I know at the moment, I don't know, man. I didn't think Monday morning I'd be making a video like this. It's just crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. But he's got to do better than 6th, because if we start dropping down the league, this is where, like, they've made a rod for our own back, because if we start losing games, have you seen our next 5 games? They're absolute shockers, mate. Like, the 5 of the most informed teams in the league. Just at the back of Wayne Rooney as well, like, when he was at Derby, people are saying, oh, he done really well at Derby and that. He had Liam Ricini as assistant manager. He was doing all the tactics and that. I spoke to loads of Derby fans about it. If you can't, like, at the moment, if you're so frustrated like I am, then just don't say nothing for a couple of days and just let it sink in.
He says don't say anything for a couple of days, having just put that video on YouTube.
A few days of silence to grieve for John Eustace, who was in the managerial hot seat at Birmingham for about 15 months by my maths. Won 21, drew 16, lost 26, win percentage 33.33.
I mean, they were favourites to go down last year. It is worth saying that because they were shambles as a club, and
he's done a good job.
He's done a good job there.
I'm just maybe questioning, like, the 2 days of mourning.
2 weeks?
Well, he said a couple of weeks to grieve, but he said a few days of silence, wasn't it? So you have the 2 days of kind of mourning, and then you can go into the grieving process and kind of maybe after a while.
I was about to start grieving then, because that clip went on for nigh on 2 minutes.
Oh, sorry about that, yeah.
And it was really starting to just cut through me.
I quite like the fact he kept going, you've got to just, we can't turn on the owners, but I mean, but it's really, really an awful decision, isn't it?
They can't turn on the owners because they were kissing their arses like to a disgusting extent not more than a month ago. So for them to now be doing almost exactly what that guy may be an outlier, who knows what the rest of the, like, because I'm sure there will be a lot of Birmingham fans going, Tom Brady, Wayne Rooney, this is great, love this, I've heard of all them. John Eustace, boring. Who was he like? He used to manage Kidderminster. Whereas Wayne Rooney managed DC United.
Unsuccessfully.
Well, doesn't matter. So yeah, that's going to be good.
It's interesting hearing that dilemma kind of play out in his head, where you know you've got to get behind something that you know in your gut is not going to work, which I would argue is a bit like what happened with Jesse Marsh here.
It's a bit like Leeds United throughout the entire 2010s.
I was going to say, it's like when Dave Hockaday turned up and you were like, well, obviously he's completely unsuitable for this, but do we turn up at the first game and, like, fuck off, just get out, sack him?
Maybe we should have done.
And also, I suppose at that time we didn't need to ever do that, because Cellino was there and you knew he'd go.
Yeah, give it a couple of weeks.
He'd go earlier than anyone on the sacking.
Yeah.
Generally, most fans would be like, well, maybe see how it pans out. No, gone straight away. But I'm quite glad that that's gone a bit wrong for him. He's an awful appointment as well, is Rooney. Not just because of the scum stuff. It just comes across as a bit of a thick lad to have in charge of a football team.
I mean, do you remember the last sight of him before he went to... Was it before he went to DC United, when he was in that hotel room? Having a little nap, being disturbed. So, you know, that's not ancient history. It's recent history. Maybe he's been quieter in DC. Click might have given him a few lessons in decorum. But, they'll probably win the first few games. They'll be like, oh, this is absolute visionary. And then a year from now, when they're following that Bristol City path that we were looking at before, plunging down the leagues, we'll wonder why the hell they got 3 points that should have been ours.
How old are you, Michael? You're 38 now.
9.
39. I struggle to believe that you are a year older than Wayne Rooney.
Wayne Rooney looks really old. I mean, Wayne Rooney looks like he could pass for 60, could Rooney?
Yeah. Have you seen the signing photo? If you find the signing photo of when Click signed for them, and Click, I think, is only about 5 years younger than Rooney. Could be 15 or 20 years difference.
Yeah, I mean, he's not... To compare to, I guess, he's a former Man United teammate who's older than him in Cristiano Ronaldo. The two have taken different paths health-wise, I think, in terms of the Maybe the physical preparation that they've done.
Is one of them pumping himself full of horse hormones or something? I don't know what they do.
I don't know, probably. I don't know. Mind you, I think he's probably more on the horse tranquilizers, is Rooney, rather than the hormones.
Right, then. Are we wrapping it up there?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's been all right, hasn't it? So no propaganda next week because there's no games this weekend. But look out for our 4-part kit special. Been mentioning that one a fair bit on the shows recently. Ed Cowburn, who designed the Leeds United kits, came in and did a 4-parter where we talked about how it happened and then the home, away and third kits. So look out for those Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday in your YouTube and podcast feed. And we'll see you soon.
The Square Ball Podcast.